I saw the trailer for this in the theater with a friend of mine. He went, "That looks great," and I went, "That looks like a mess." Well, it's actually a lot less of a mess than I'd expected, but it's also not as good as I'd hoped. And this is just one of the reasons I tend not to watch trailers if I can help it. Because it gives me expectations, and sometimes false expectations. So let's back up. What's it about? It's about an assortment of characters that stay at this hotel, which is located on the border of Nevada and California. So half the hotel is in each state. Sounds like a fun idea, an interesting premise to play with. And from the very start you get the sense that there's something bigger going on. And it feels like all the characters are there for a reason. Something's pulling them there. Specifically there, to that hotel, that night, and nowhere else. Well, first of all, the location doesn't really matter. It's a bit of a gimmick. This could have really taken place in any hotel anywhere, and it wouldn't have made a difference. Put it in California, put it in Nevada. Doesn't really matter. It makes sense for it to be in one of those. And it makes sense for it to be near the border. But that's just because it was written to make sense. You could easily set this in the middle of nowhere Arizona. Then just alter a few little details and now that would make sense. There's no actual reason it needs to be set on the state line. Or those specific states. So that was disappointment number one, a wasted location. And the second one was that I figured all these people would be connected somehow. That all their stories would intertwine into this intricate, interconnected web. Well, turns out most of them are there for their own reasons. And the only connection between them is that they happen to stay at the same hotel on the same night. There is no overarching plot that ties everything together. It's basically all happenstance, which as far as I'm concerned is more wasted potential. And both of those things combined make it a lot less interesting than it could have been. Because there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. But because each part is only connected on a surface level, it turns out to be surprisingly uninteresting. That being said, I don't think it's a bad movie, and I don't have any concrete issues with it. Like, I don't think any aspect of it was poorly handled. I mean, the individual stories and the characters are decent, some of them even legitimately good. The acting's good too. It's well shot and it's a really good looking movie. The pacing's not bad either, and the soundtrack is pretty great. Oh, and the set design is fantastic. They had a lot of fun with that. So the individual parts are pretty damn solid, but when it all comes together, it's not that compelling. It's one of these movies that I watched and didn't really dislike at any point. I even thought some parts were really great, but at the end of the day, I just found it a bit lackluster. Perfectly fine, but not that much more. And not as good as the individual parts would suggest. Actually, I do have one slight issue. The quote-unquote villains' motivations. They seem a little shaky. Like, I know why he showed up, why he's there, that made sense. I'm just not sure about his behavior and his actions once he got there. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, unless he just enjoys wreaking havoc and creating chaos. In which case Heath Ledger did it better and the Joker is a lot more interesting of a character. Other than that though, I'm not really sure what else to say. It's a competent but underwhelming movie. The potential for more was there, but would I recommend it? I mean, I guess. It's a lot better written and more thought out than a lot of movies like this. Everything fits together and makes more or less sense. I guess I just expected and hoped for more. So check it out or don't. I'm not your dad.